Hi, it's Tim, and welcome to the Proclaim AV Shop. Today we're going to be talking about Speakon connectors or twist lock speaker connectors. Let's check it out. So before the advent of the Speakon connector or the twist lock speaker connector, everybody was using this guy. And it's old school, the big quarter-inch jack. And sometimes they would use the small ones for monitors, but these are really built to take a heavy gauge speaker cable. And so Neutrik invented what's called the Speakon connector or the twist lock, which a lot of people can't call their connector a Speakon because I believe Neutrik still owns the name of that. But it has become an industry standard, and a bunch of people make these or some version of these. Now, I want to talk about making your own cables or repairing cables that you already have, but I want to talk about a couple of differences. So I have here, this is Neutrik's NL2FX, and so this is just made for one speaker line. It is not made for multiple speaker lines. And most of you are going to go, huh? I'm just running one speaker line. Absolutely correct. But when Neutrik released in the early days, they did a 4-conductor version of this. And that meant that you could send 2 lines from your amplifier on pair 1 and pair 2. And the connector has 4 connections inside for plus and minus 1, plus and minus 2. Now, almost everybody is using the 4-conductor, but I like to use the 2-conductor because the connector is less expensive, and I'm really only using plus 1 and 2 on the connector. I'm not using the, plus minus 1. I'm not using the plus minus 2 in most cases, and so these are less expensive because there are less internal parts. Now, these are kind of interesting because not only do they make a 2-conductor connector, they make a 2-conductor jack. Now, these are pretty rare, and there's a reason why they're rare. You won't find them on, I don't think, any amplifiers or that kind of thing. Almost all those are 4-conductor, and the reason why is that there are a ton of existing speaker cables that have a 4-conductor connection. And so if I have a 2-conductor and I have a 2-conductor jack, that'll click together just fine, okay? But if I have a 4-conductor jack and the 2-conductor, that is also backward compatible, so it worked just great. But if I have the 2-conductor jack and the 4-conductor connector, I can't even get that to twist. It just pushes in kind of. So internally, this is not backward compatible with 4-conductor. So if you're doing a stage box or something like that, and you're putting these in, you're always going to have to use this cable so that they work properly together. If you have existing cables that have the 4-conductor connector, they're not going to play nicely. So all that being said, let's take a look at how we can prep our wire and repair and or build a twist lock or Speakon connection. Okay, so let's get started here. We're going to look at doing this connector. But first I want to look at the 2 different types of connectors. So we have here the 4-pin and the Neutrik. I think this is called the NL4. This is an Amphenol branded connector, that's fine. I like Amphenol stuff. It's good. Keep in mind, these are built to take a 4-conductor wire. So everything is a little bigger. Even the sleeve or whatever may take a larger cable that's all rubberized, so it'll take a big cable. All right, let's take this guy apart. So on the inside, you'll see that there are 4 small spots there where the cables can go in, and there are little set screws that tighten down to hold the cables in the connector. And on this one, you can actually see, because thankfully Amphenol have printed the conductor numbers next to each slot. So there's -1, +1, +2, -2 across the connector. Now, on some of the Neutrik connectors, it's not that easy. It's stamped into the plastic, and sometimes I'll have to get a flashlight out to actually read those because they're so hard to see, especially in a dark space. But we're doing this connector here, which is our NL2, which is a 2 conductor. So again, strain relief, the whole shebang. And then inside this guy, you'll see that there are only 2 connections. And so it's a lot easier. These are also less expensive because there are less parts in them. You don't have the extra stuff that you're not using in there. So if you're doing a bunch of cables, I really like the 2 conductor ones because it does save some money on the maintenance of that. Okay. So, one of the things I will mention is that when we're doing the strain relief on this cable, we want the strain relief to be gripping on the jacket of the cable, not on the internal wires, which we'll see here in a minute, because that's not going to work, because it has to be thick enough to go around the cable itself and pinch onto it. So that's important. Okay, we'll put these to the side for now. All right, so I'm going to take my cable. I will depress this guy, and we'll slide our cable in, and then I can rotate it around. Maybe 2 times is probably plenty. Take it off. And then you can see here that we have scored the cable. So if we look at it right there, we've made a score around it, but we haven't cut into any of the internal conductors. So that's good. The next thing I will grab are my flush cutters. I like these a lot. I use them for a ton of stuff, especially cutting zip ties off right at the head, so you don't slice people with them. And you can see that they are very precise. So in their closure, they'll come all the way together. There's no gap or whatever. So they're good for cutting things that need a precise cut. One of my tricks with speaker cable is that I will take this, just one of these, and be careful because you can stab yourself pretty good with it if you're not careful. And I will work it into the jacket next to the wire, so I don't actually cut the wire. And then what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to start a cut here. There we go. Where the jacket is. I am trying to split this guy. And then some of these internally, they will have a pull string, which you can use to split the jacket. This one does not have a pull string, which is fine. I will just pull it apart. Some of these are really tough and you got to work harder on them. We'll get it all the way down to where we have scored it. Right here. Ugh. All right, and then the spot where we scored, we'll be able to just pull that around. See that? And we'll have a nice end there. Good. So now that I've got that done, I have too much wire. And the problem again with too much wire is that if we've got our strain relief boot on here, and we don't want it pinching on the wires itself, because the wires only go so far into the connector. So if we put our wires into the connector like this, and then our strain relief boot is pinching on the wire, that's not going to be very helpful. We're going to have trouble keeping everything together. So I'm going to cut these down a little shorter. I'll use my flush cutters again. I like to use these because I can sort of line it up and eyeball it so that it's straight across both wires. And we'll give it a slice here. Boom. And it cuts it nicely. It doesn't leave a lot of extra wires and stuff hanging out everywhere, which is what we want. Next, we're going to use our wire strippers. These are Klein tools. You can see on the wire stripper surface itself that there's, I guess it's on this side, it says what the gauge of wire is for each hole. So we're working with 16 gauge wire right now, so we'll use the hole number 16. And then we'll strip back just a little bit of here. I would say about half an inch or less. And then pull it off there. We don't want to go much more than that. That's probably good enough there. Again, if it's too much, then you can always trim it off with your flush cutters. The next thing I do, because you can see all the little wires just kind of going out every which way, because it's stranded, and so stranded can be messy, just sort of like does its own thing. So I twist these together, and it gives them a temporary unity. There we go. So they sort of stay together, at least long enough to go in the connector. And next, because these are sort of splayed out like left, right, going the opposite ways that I want them to go, I will just bend these slightly so that they're both separate but straight. And that makes it easier for them to get into the connector like that. See where we're going there? All right. All right, well, let me look at my connector here. Again, these are the stamped ones, so they're a little more difficult. Okay, there's the plus side. So the red wire should go into your plus, and the black wire should go into your minus. Let's see if we can do this so you guys can see. It's a little more difficult from my camera angle here for me to put this in and you to see it, but that's fine. Nope. Doing it blind. Need a mirror, maybe. Well, I might have to do that to get it started. Okay, and you can see they'll slide right in there. That's what we want. Is both the conductors inside there. And you don't want any wires hanging out or any pieces of stranded sticking out anywhere. Nice and clean, because you don't want these cables to short out internally. So then I will hold this guy up kind of with one hand, because you got to hold both wires in and hold the let's do that. And hold the connector. All right, let's tighten down our screws. Okay. Try to get that to focus there. Sorry, guys. All right, here's our other one. It's really interesting doing this and looking at yourself on a monitor so you can see what you see, so I can see what you see. All right. Now, again, first of all, I've messed up because I should have put these on first. But, and I'm sure maybe some of you have done this with XLR connectors before where you got it on wrong. But I'm cheating today because I just have a demonstration piece of cable. So I'll put these on here. You can do it once. If you're doing a double-sided cable, you can do it one time and get away with it. Okay. Now down here, we put our strain relief boot on, and you can kind of see here that things need to line up. Let's see if we can get this guy right. Here we go. See how there's a little gaps there? It only goes one way, and then once you get it on there, that's what you want. You want everything to line up nicely, but you can see all the little gaps for it. All right, sort of hold it on with this hand, and slide your sleeve on here, and just tighten it down. And then sometimes I'll make a click or whatever. All right, good. Now that's nice and strong. We're not relying on the screws to hold this connector onto the wire, so I can give it a good tug. And it's just fine. It's not popping out or anything. And actually, you can see inside here the strain relief guys that are clamping onto the jacket of the cable, and that's how you want it to be, so that it holds together nicely. So I hope that was helpful. And if you are maintaining your own cables or maybe building other cables, it's pretty easy to do. You just have to order connectors and cable. Now, I love to build custom speaker cable. And for my church, I have monitors that don't really go anywhere. They're just always in the same place on the platform. So for me, and I'll throw a little picture in here, I build custom length cables that just go neatly between my speakers, so I don't have extra coils of wire just laying around. It keeps my stage or my platform looking nice and neat. And for some of you who move things around a lot, that's maybe not convenient. But for some of you who are looking for a way to kind of clean up your platform area and not have a bunch of cabling, this is a great thing to do, and it's really not that difficult. Anyway, I hope that this has been a helpful video for you, and thanks for watching.